What up? It's the Grandpa MC coming at you with another video. Like, subscribe, share, comment. Alright, the final episode, Celtics City, episode 9. Man, I've been saving it because, mainly because I got a lot to say about Doc Rivers. Had the first indications of him losing the team surface. So here we go. The episode opens up. They're raising the banner of 2008. Paul Pierce asked Doc Rivers in a conversation. I think him and KG was together with him. Might have been Ray Allen. Might have been the whole team. But they asked Doc how many championships do they think that they could win. Doc said 2 or 3. They went through the season. They was 27-2. And then Garnett suffered the knee injury that derailed that season. Garnett added in that he was basically playing hurt. And he didn't specify how long or whatever, but I suspect that some of that was from the Minnesota days. And it was just, just a bunch of build up from playing all out. So Garnett was out. It really basically it took their season away. So they go to the next season. Rajon Rondo emerges. Doc added that he's one of the smartest players that he's ever known. So what they did in 2010 when they went to LA and played the Lakers, Doc asked everybody for $100 and he put it off in the ceiling, and he said they're not gonna get that until they come back to play in the finals. So it was a lot of dudes. I mean, Kendrick Perkins said like, what? But like everybody gave $100. They put the money up in the ceiling. That was it. So my notes ain't as concise as I thought they was, because I took my time with this. But anyway, all right. So because Lakers won in 2009 and 10. And so they played them, 2011? Might have been 2011. But anyway, okay, so 2011. Perkins gets traded. Danny Ainge thought that they needed to change. That was basically the nail in the coffin, because Perk, even though we clown him a lot, at that time he was their best. He was one of their better interior defenders and a good rebounder. So losing him playing when he hurt himself in the finals against the Lakers, it really put a damper on their season. I mean, put a damper on that playoff run. So we start getting into the deterioration of Rondo and Ray Allen's career. Ray Allen basically said that Rondo needed to prove himself because he really didn't do nothing, and Rondo was basically taking charge of the team. Doc let all this go down, treating Ray Allen like he was basically like a first year player. That was the description that was said. So Rondo's ego went unchecked. So we get into the Doc Rivers thing. I'm gonna put the paper down for this. So I just said where Doc let all that ill will that was building up between Rondo and Ray Allen basically kill the chemistry of that team, and he just let it keep on going. So that goes to the Clippers with Chris Paul and Blake Griffin when he was in Orlando. When he was in Orlando though, I think that was another case of Doc losing the team, just giving preferential treatment. And as a sidebar to that, in Orlando, he was so gung ho about having like team rules, that he basically ran Tim Duncan off because he didn't want to let Tim Duncan's family fly on the plane. That was a request from Tim Duncan. And he said, no, nah. So just think, if Doc Rivers wouldn't have been so full of himself at that time, they could have had Tim Duncan. Tracy McGrady probably would have been still in Orlando for a while, and ain't no telling how many titles they won, because Tim Duncan would have obliterated the East. So then, as far as another team that Doc let get out of hand this year, the Milwaukee Bucks had a bunch of stuff going on around it. He gets hired after they ran what was his name? Adrian something. He used to play for the Celtics back in the day. Adrian Griffin. Is it Griffin? But anyway, he took over that team, got Damian Lillard on that team, then Giannis contemplating his future, and that just shows, that's the reason why their season just went down the tubes. Not saying that they could have won the title, but what I'm trying to highlight here is Doc Rivers, and he's the coach. At the least, he's supposed to be somebody that's a mediator, right? So he let all those bad feelings with Rondo and Ray Allen build up, and you can see it if you had been watching them for a while. It was always said about how Rondo and Ray Allen didn't get along, and as trying to put a little bit of let's see, what's the word I'm looking for, to try to add to some of Ray Allen's disgruntled feelings. They tried to trade him multiple times. So him, when he left and went to Miami, it was basically he didn't care, because like they tried to trade him a couple of times, and then they want to keep him. And Ray Allen was a great playoff performer. So I mean, like, Doc Rivers, that's where it's at right there with these teams that fail. And just to add one more, Atlanta Hawks, when he was a player, I used to watch. I mean, I've said it multiple times. 87, start watching. Atlanta Hawks was one of the bigger teams in the East. One of the contenders in the East, and he was the point guard. He was always talking around the Atlanta Hawks players not getting along. And if Doc Rivers would have been a somewhat pure point guard, I think they could have won, because Dominique was unbelievable. And part of the reason why they fell off was because of the coach too, Mike Fratello, because he really didn't know what to do with that team. Because if you gave Pat Riley that team, the Atlanta Hawks in 1988, 1987, 89, 90, Atlanta Hawks, they would have won something. And Dominique, his play style wasn't conducive to big time winning, but I think they could have been adjusted if they would have coached him a little bit, coached that out of him, because he tried to be a point, not a point forward, because that ain't Dominique, but he tried to distribute the ball. I think he had next year, I think 91, 92, he had, like, before he got traded, he was having one of his best years in assists. I remember that. So Doc Rivers, man, he just, when things start falling down, he doesn't bring him together. He just let it happen. So that's basically what happened to the Boston Celtics at that time. So let's finish this up. So, like I say, Ray Allen went to the Heat. This was 2013. I remember when they played in Miami that time, KG wasn't shaking hands, man. KG wasn't shaking hands. That was wild. So they eventually trade Garnett and Paul Pierce to the Brooklyn Nets. Brad Stevens comes along. They draft Marcus Smart. Isaiah Thomas comes on as a free agent. They have a little period in there where they exciting to watch. I remember Isaiah Thomas was going off. He was killing, and it was almost time for a contract. And unfortunately, he got hurt. He hurt his hip. Yeah, he hurt his hip. And for little dudes, that was just that's the end. So, Isaiah Thomas gave his all to that team that year. It was like 2016. Yep, 2016. So 2016 off season, Jaylen Brown gets drafted. Jason Tatum gets drafted in 2017. They starting up the new era. The episode is moving along. Donnie Wahlberg, who's a Boston native, of course. He was walking around some Boston neighborhoods, greeting people and stuff. He was talking about the culture of Boston. Then they moved to them signing Al Horford. He was one of the first big free agents to come of his own free will, and he wanted to be part of Boston. At the same time, this is when Kyrie forced his way out of Cleveland, and then he went to Brooklyn. He went to Boston, and they were playing, and it was a whole bunch of turmoil with that team. Kyrie was basically saying the young guys didn't want to listen. I remember Terry Rozier was on that team. That's when Kyrie was hurt, and Terry Rozier was doing, he was scoring a lot of points. It was a low roar about maybe him starting over Kyrie and this, that, and the other. It was a bunch of mess with that team, and Kyrie ended up losing. The Celtics. Oh, and that was the year too. That was the same year they had signed Gordon something. He used to play for Utah. Gordon Hayward. Yeah, Gordon Hayward. That's when he went down with that gruesome leg injury at the beginning of the season. I'm not gonna say LeBron was the cause, but he was tied up with Gordon Hayward when Gordon Hayward hurt himself. So take that what you want. Let's see. Golden State. Oh, so they moving it along. Golden State beats Boston in the finals in 2022. At that same time, Danny Ainge stepped down as a GM. Then comes in Ime Udoka. Hold up. So Ime Udoka got fired. That's my mistake. Ime Udoka got fired because of the whole scandal with him fraternizing with a Boston Celtics front office worker. Around the same time, Bill Russell was passed away. They went to Bob Cousy because Bob Cousy was talking about how he really didn't have a good, close relationship with Bill Russell. And one saying that I wrote down that was, excuse me, that was a good saying, is one thing he said, and it applies to regular life. If you don't win, nobody cares. And that's the truth. And when you're talking about basketball, you're talking about life. If you don't win, don't nobody care. So, in 2020, same year, Porzingis, they signed Porzingis. I think they traded for Doc Holliday, Drew Holiday, to people. Doc Holliday to me. Off the episodes wrapping up, talking to the different Celtics that's been on it. Tom Heinsohn comes up, and he referred to the Celtics as Costa Nostra, and then the episode wraps up with the Celtics winning their 18th championship. All right, man. So there you have it. Episode 9 of the Celtics City documentary. It was a great 9-episode series. If you got time, watch it. I done watched a couple episodes over and over. I think I might watch 9 today while I'm up. But yeah, man, I had to get that one off. I got another one coming up, another review coming up about the Dream Team select team that had beat the Dream Team in practice. That team that had Penny on the team, Weber, Rodney Rogers, Bobby Hurley. I think they had who else they had? I got hung up on it when I was talking about it. But basically that team beat Jordan and them. They caught them by surprise. But I'm gonna do a review of that because it's funny. It's a funny interaction because I think Grant Hill's doing it. I mean, he did he was a producer or something, and so he was wanted to talk to Coach K about because Coach. Anyway, we'll get to that in that review. So that's all I have to say about the Celtics City documentary. A great documentary again. Grandpa out.